Welcome into New Orleans Saints Now. I'm your host, Trace Gerard, and in today's show, we got a coaching update to get to. A lot of big rumors, a lot of big buzz to discuss. So, the Saints are expected to hire Joe Woods as their defensive coordinator. This coming in from Jeremy Fowler. New Orleans Saints expected to name Joe Woods as the DC. Per sources, Woods was with the Cleveland Browns as their defensive coordinator from 2020 to 2022. He reunites with Dennis Allen from their Oakland Raider days back in 2014. And before we get into my reaction, my analysis, my thoughts on all of this, I want you to go down and subscribe for Saints news, rumors, draft coverage, and a heck of a lot more, because this is the number one spot to get all of your Saints videos, all of your Saints content throughout the entire NFL offseason. I want to give a shout out to all 11,000 subscribers that we have. We just recently crossed that milestone. Shout out Who Dat Nation. We're still trying to beat the Vikings channel to 15,000 subscribers, so help us out. And we want to get some feedback from y'all before we get more into this. How likely are you to recommend this show to the rest of the Who Dat Nation? If you like it, if you love it, give it a 10. If you're not really a big fan of it, you want to see some things change, give it a 1. And if it's not like a 7, 8, 9, or 10, give us some feedback in the comment section of how we can do better, because we're always trying to make this better. The show isn't about me, it's about you, and we want to give you the best content. So let's break down Joe Woods and his career. He was a defensive quality coach 2004 to 2005, defensive backs coach 2006 to 2013 with the Minnesota Vikings, defensive backs coach in 2014 with Dennis Allen whenever he was the head coach of the Raiders. Moved on to the Broncos in 2015 to 2016 as a defensive backs coach. Helped the Broncos win a Super Bowl. Was part of the reason why the Broncos defensive backs or the defense never only gave up one touchdown in their Super Bowl run, and eventually was promoted to defensive coordinator after that Super Bowl season. Or after they had won the Super Bowl and the team had found a bunch of success. 2017 and 2018, he was with Denver as well. Defensive back and pass game coordinator in 2019 to San Francisco. And then he spent some time in Cleveland as a defensive coordinator, and now he is expected to be the Saints defensive coordinator. So just taking a look at what Joe Woods was able to do with the Browns defense last season. Points per game, 22.4, 19th. Yards per game, 331.2, 13th. Third down conversion was just under 40% at 8, and that ranked 18th across the NFL. Red zone scoring percentage, 55%. That's 16th in the NFL. I mean, pretty much when you look at these numbers, it's extremely average. Just like nothing stands out. It's not amazing. It could be worse, but not much worse, but it just can't be much better. But anyway, I want to compare this to the Saints defensive stats later on in the show, but from 2 to 1. The Saints had 2 defensive coordinators. You go from having co-defensive coordinators in Ryan Nielsen and Chris Richard to now just one in Joe Woods. When the Saints dismissed Chris Richard, obviously, as we know earlier last week, Ryan Nielsen was hired by Atlanta to take over as the defensive coordinator. It's going to be kind of an interesting change for the Saints defense. It's going to bring a lot of I don't expect a lot of change, but I expect a lot of new energy in the defensive backs area. So we'll see what happens, but I want to get y'all's one-word reaction to the Saints hiring Joe Woods. I'll give y'all my one-word reaction here in just a second, but you might get hit with a YouTube ad break. So if you do, take advantage of it. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section to hiring Joe Woods. My one word is really, not really as in really like I'm pissed off about it, but really as in there's nothing you really could have done better. I mean, I don't want to sit here and say that he's going to be a bad coach. I don't think he's going to be a bad hire. I just think that there's more that you could have gotten. Or there's a better option. Yes, the defensive backs will be great, and I do expect them to still be a phenomenal part of the Saints defense, and I would like to see some of the young talent take some steps in terms of their development. But I do think that losing Chris Richard and Ryan Nielsen, those are 2 guys that were very, very great coaches and who spent a lot of time with the team and found a lot of success with the team. So when I say really, I mean really, that's the best we could have done. I personally probably would have ran it back with Chris Richard. But that being said, I'm not the one who makes the decisions. I'm just the one who talks about it on YouTube at the end of the day. But I want to get into more of my thoughts here later in the show. But before I do, I want to give a shout out to our new sponsor, Fume. It's an awesome product, an awesome company. Today's Saints Now is sponsored by Fume. We all have bad habits, and we certainly know how hard they can be to kick those bad habits. Our sponsor, Fume, is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from the bad habits that consume far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plant and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative bad habits for a positive one. I didn't expect much out of my Fume when I first got it, but the minty sensation, is really powerful and really hits the back of your throat. Fume has 3 awesome flavors. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of the crisp mint. Maple pepper is really good. White cranberry, very refreshing. Comes in an awesome little pack, very sleek, very stylish thing, very easy to hold, very heavy in your hands. It's a nice product. Fume is not a vape. It's a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits. The easiest way to stop a bad habit is to switch to a positive one, and Fume is designed perfectly to do just that. Head to fume.com/chatsports and use code chatsports to save 10% when you get their journey pack today. That's try fum.com/chatsports and use code chatsports to save an additional 10% off on your order today. So, all in all, what you can expect in terms of what the Saints defense will look like next season, it'll still be Dennis Allen's scheme. It's still going to be the Dennis Allen defense that we've grown to know and love over the past few years as he's been the defensive coordinator, now the head coach. I don't expect much change to be made. I think that, obviously Dennis Allen will still be the play caller. He's still going to be the mastermind of the defense. I think more so that Joe Woods comes in as an assistant role and he helps out with the defensive backs rather than being a true defensive coordinator where he's running the defense. That is the perks of having Dennis Allen as your head coach, which is, few and far between in terms of actual perks you get. That being said, I think that he could actually work out in terms of being a good hire for the Saints. Tom Pelissero also adding this. Worth noting, Saints assistant secondary coach Corey Robinson, who ran the defensive backs room last season, let his contract expire and is a free agent. A bright young assistant who just coached at the Senior Bowl. This is interesting because, as we know, defensive back coach is gone. Long-term defensive back coach who's had a lot of success in the past in his NFL career comes in, so you can kind of see how the pieces are starting to form the puzzle. Last season, the Saints defense ranked second in the pass defense, but 30th in interceptions. Only had 7 overall. Not that impressive. A few forced fumbles, a few fumble recoveries. You really only got a couple interceptions towards the back half of the season. You really wish you could have seen a little bit more turnover, or a few more turnovers, a little bit better production from the secondary. But that being said, this defense right here, when you have guys like Tyrann Mathieu, Demario Davis, Paulson Adebo, who's, a lot of people have mixed feelings on him, but I think at the end of the day, still a solid football player. You have Cameron Jordan. You have phenomenal players like Marshawn Lattimore who are there to help you out and be successful on the defense. This defense always has, and probably for a long time will be the identity of this Saints team. There's been so much culture and so much charisma and so much energy formed around the team purely on the defensive side of the ball. If the Saints digress, it could be detrimental to the success of the team, especially in the long term, especially when you have some of these older players who can be coaching up some of these younger guys, which is why I think it's so important to bring back guys like Caden Ellis, because they're young, cheap, and you can develop them under quality talent. The Saints defensive stats last season, look how it ranked. It's pretty solid outside of the third down conversion. 20 points per game, 9th. Obviously, you want to see way more. But let's not be real, or let's not act like the second half of the season, the offense kind of kicked it into gear. They didn't kick it into high gear. They kicked it into A gear, which is better than nothing. But yards per game, they also gave up 314 yards per game, which is 5th in the NFL. Not bad at all. And then in terms of points per game, you were giving up 20 points. That's solid in terms of the defensive production. Excuse me on having the offensive production stats up there, or offensive analysis, but these are the defensive stats, Third down conversion, 40%. You want to see better third down. You want to see way better conversion on third down. A lot of third and shorts, third and mediums broken, or just you got gashed on a slant, got gashed, beaten over the middle. Bad. But where it's really good, red zone scoring offense, 50%, dead even, 5th across the NFL. I really, really, really hope that this Saints team doesn't digress in any way because, like I said, it could be very detrimental to the success of the team. As we all know, the offense right now is the issue. If that doesn't get fixed this offseason, we could really be in a bad spot. If you want to get more of my thoughts and more of my analysis, feel free to hit me up on Twitter and on Instagram at TraceGerard48. I'll have my links in the comment section and in the description of this video for you guys. I'm always talking about the Saints. I'm always trying to chop it up with the Who Dat Nation. So please feel free to hit me up. Give me a follow. If you DM me, Who Dat, I'll know you came from this video, and I will definitely give you a follow back. So hit me up, TraceGerard48, Twitter and IG. And we also have a programming alert. I know last week I talked about we're going live on Wednesday. Didn't happen. Weather was an issue out here in Dallas, so we weren't able to get into the studio on Wednesday. That being said, we are going live this Wednesday. Time is TBD. That's why you need to turn on your notifications. That way, whenever we do go live, you will be notified. Make sure they're set to all so you get it so it pops up on your screen. It pops up on your phone. You can drop what you're doing, tune in to chop it up. It's going to be interactive content, Saints news, rumors, mailbag. It's going to be a lot of fun. Probably have a couple drinks flowing as well. So please feel free to tune in. But I want to keep talking about this defensive staff. Here is the tentative defensive staff. This isn't set in stone. This isn't exactly what it will be. But here is what it looks like right now and what it probably will shake out to be. Play caller, Dennis Allen. He's your head coach. That's not changing. He is going to run his defense. The defensive coordinator is going to be Joe Woods, recently hired. Defensive line coach is a projection, but Todd Grantham was recently hired. As we know, he was with Florida, he was with the NFL, he was looking to go back to Bama. He had a lot of interest of where he could possibly go. I think Todd Grantham could honestly do some really good things for the defensive line, and I think that he could really take some of this young talent to another level. I'm excited to see what he can do. Not official that he is the defensive line coach, but we do know he was brought onto the staff as an assistant. Michael Hodges, linebackers coach, pass rush, Brian Young, defensive backs coach, TBD. More than likely expect Joe Woods to oversee that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they bring in somebody to help out with that. Peter Giunta, excuse me if I have the pronunciation incorrect, as your senior assistant, and assistants, Jordan Taylor, Sterling Moore. But my overall take on all of this is 100% Dennis Allen's team. Accountability needs to be a priority. And I'm not talking about accountability of the team is playing bad. What is going on? I'm talking about that on top of, hey, the team is looking good. What are the things you've been changing? What are the things that you've been implementing? How are your coaches helping you out? I want to see Dennis Allen be a true head coach. Accountability was one of my biggest pet peeves with this team last season. Whenever you had questions about the team, DA wouldn't answer. He just wouldn't give a straight answer. He wouldn't give any thoughts, and he would just shut down, which I get at the end of the day. You don't want to put your cards on the table if you're an NFL coach, but come on. You want answers. When you have your back against the wall and your team's underperforming, the last thing you need to do is tell your quarterback who just threw 2 pick sixes back-to-back, keep doing what you're doing. I'm excited to see what Dennis Allen can do with his 100% staff. This is exactly what he needs to do. Maybe you could have a stronger staff around him, but that being said, it's his staff. It's people that he is bringing in, he is comfortable with, and people that he has good relationships with, so hopefully it works out. But I would be lying if I said I was not concerned. I definitely have my concerns for this season. The offense still very much so worries me. I definitely want to see the team succeed. I really hope this isn't a situation where you're hiring your friends to really make things work out. I'm prepared to be very surprised, and I really hope that I'm surprised at the end of the season. But I want to know from you guys, is the Who Dat Nation worried about the Saints defense for next season? If you are, type Y for yes. If you're not, type in for no. Let me know down in the comment section if you're worried. Also, Who Dat Nation, be sure to subscribe, turn on your notifications, hit the thumbs up icon. Y'all stay golden. I'll catch you next time. We'll see you Wednesday live.